All right, hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. This here's Portie's Garage. Now, in today's episode, we're gonna do the rear brakes to this 2015 Porsche Macan Turbo. But before we get started, there's a few setup issues or items we need to do inside the car. So let's go in and check it out. So the first thing we need to do is turn off the air suspension. How you do that is you press and hold the air suspension button for 10 seconds. And there you have it, level adjust switched off. Okay, now the next thing we need to do, because this has electronic parking brake, is to turn that off. And here I have my tool. This is an iCarSoft CR Pro. It does a ton of different vehicles, not just the Porsche. But I'm going into the service menu here. Gonna go into EPB, or electronic parking brake. I'm gonna find the make, which is Porsche. And then we're gonna find the model, Macan. And then we're gonna go to move to installation position, and you'll hear it. It's gonna ask us to turn the ignition on, which it already is. It's gonna give us a whole bunch of things to look for. Make sure you're in park, that stuff. Some more warnings and moving parts on the axle. And now it's going. And there you have it, action complete. Hit F2 for okay. Get out of that, and we're all set. So now we're ready to go. Let's get to work. All right, here's the kit that I bought, again from Suncoast Porsche. You can start over here with the brake wear indicators. We got the brake pads here, miscellaneous bolts for the calipers there, and then we've got the 2 new rotors on there as well. So now that we've got the parts laid out and ready to go, let's get to work. All right, now that we got the car set up, let's, safety first, let's get our chocks in before we jack it up, get our jack stand in, and then we'll take off the lugs. Here we go. All right, let's get this tire off and start rocking. All right, now that we got the wheel off, first thing I want to do is kind of break the bolts on the caliper. How I did that was I used this breaker bar and then these 2 extensions here. It's 18 millimeter for the caliper bolts. This just gave me just enough to get past all these wires here. And then on the bottom, we used a little bit different setup because it was a little bit longer. Same thing, breaker bar, 18-inch or 18 millimeter socket with the extension on here. You can kind of see the difference in links to go in there. And then once I got it loose, you can unloosen it with this. So now that we got that done, we're gonna go through, and there's some wires that we need to take off, like the wear indicator, the emergency brake wiring, to at least get that loose out of some brackets so that we can pull this up and get it up here to service it. Okay, the first thing we're gonna take off is this, the brake pad wear indicator, and it's just, you pull that a little bit, it slides right out. And as you recall from the front, we have this piece here. You can kind of see the little pin right there. I just put a little, well actually I'll just do it this way. That, and then you just do a little twist, and that comes right out like that. So now you got your brake pad indicator out. So another thing, I'll just say this, they do say that you can take this off to make it a little bit easier as well, but we're gonna go ahead and go down the other side. All right. Now what we got to do here is that wire comes down, and this little wire here we're going to take out, or this nut. This is a, what is it? It's a 5 hex. Oh, baby, get in there. So that'll give us a little play on that. Like that. And then the next one is this. Oh, whoops, going the wrong way. Put it in there and give a little twist, and she pops right off. Now we got this all loosened up. Again, you can, if you really wanted to, you can loosen up this one and pull that out too. That'll give you a lot more room to move all of this and pull the caliper off. So next up, we'll take the bolts off the caliper and pull this off. All right, now that actually I got all these off, probably would have been easier to crack the bolts on the calipers now with these off. So I would suggest doing that, taking the wires off first before you crack the bolts on the calipers. But now that we got all that done, let's just take these bolts off. The other thing you'll notice is there's a long bolt on the top and there's gonna be a shorter one on the bottom. So make sure you get the right bolts. Here's the shorter bolt. All right, so we took the caliper off. I set it up on top here under a rag so we don't scratch it up. The other thing I did here is we put some WD-40 on the rotor so that we can let that soak a little bit. Hopefully it comes off a little bit easier. We'll use the jaws on that again, jaws of life, if you will. But let's concentrate on the caliper right now. We're gonna spread the brake pads, reset the pistons so that we can get the new pads in, and we'll get that all cleaned up before we tackle the rotor. All right. This one is really low, and you can see it's just starting to hit that wear indicator. Nasty. All right, let's take out the holders here. Here's the first one. And we'll put the new ones in. Put it in backwards. There we go. Now, let's get our first pad and get the sensor on it. That. Make sure you put this one on the inside. Helps if you put it in the right way, folks. There we go. Caliper is ready to go. All right, now we're gonna get the rotor off. First thing we need to do is take off the set screw. It's a T30. And we did lube her up a little bit. There we go, nice and easy. And then we get our jaws of fun. Bingo! Okay, now that we blew off that rotor with the jaws of life, let's get this cleaned up a little bit before we put the new one on. We'll also put on some of this aluminum anti-seize so we don't have the same problem next time. I'm gonna clean up the back side of this rotor. And there we go. Okay, now that we got this on, let's clean up the front of this before we put the new caliper and brake pads on. All right, before I go in, I'm gonna show you the difference of the two bolts here. So you got the long one that goes on the top and the short one that goes on the bottom. Okay, yeah, so I lost my bolt that kicked it away from me, so put that in. All right, there we go. All right, now that we got the caliper installed, let's go ahead and torque down the caliper bolts. For the rear, it's 74 foot-pounds or 100 newton meters plus 90 degrees. All right, this might be hard to see, so I apologize. That was really hard to do, the small torque wrench. That's hopefully the bottom goes a little bit easier. Whew, that was tough, guys. All right, so now let's get all the wires back together. So we got the speed sensor, the emergency brake bracket here for the wire that goes up, as well as the brake pad wear indicator wire to reconnect. So let's get that done and then we can throw the wheel back on. Speed sensor. Come in for emergency brake. Got her all done. Let's put the wheel back on. $118 foot-pounds. And always, don't forget, if you're a true Porsche guy, your Porsche badge needs to point at your valve stem. All right, let's go do the other side. Okay, here's the equipment we took off. You can see the rotors on here. You got nice lip on both of them, so they definitely need to be replaced. You can see the different links to the caliper bolts here as well, both sides. And then I'm just not sure how these wear indicators work because I've never had one of those go off on me, and you can tell it's really rubbing in there. So, but that's it for this. So the last thing we need to do is go back inside the car, reset the emergency brake and the lift. All right, back in the car, let's get it set back up so we can start driving. Turn the ignition on. All right. All right, I'm back in the emergency braking system. Go for the Macan. Now we want to do end assembly position. Turn the ignition on, which it already is. We're going to get all of our warnings and heads up on this. All right, and application is complete. Hit F2, so we're good there. Now we got to put our leveling system back on. So again, gonna hit our leveling button and hold that for 10 seconds. Level control switched on, and you can hear it going already. All right, folks, that's going to be it for today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and like below. We'll see you guys next time.